Welcome, welcome everybody to the 2025 NCAA Tournament Round of 32 press conference. A couple of announcements before we get going. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conferences. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. We are joined by UCLA, head coach Corey Close, and student athletes Lauren Betts and Gabriela Jaquez. We'll begin with opening statement from Coach.
Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. I think, you get another opportunity, and, we're really thankful for this opportunity. I think our big focus is to be us. We have a phrase that other people try to beat us. We are questing to be us. And we didn't think we played to our identity the way we'd like to yesterday. And so that's going to be our number one focus is first, when are we at our best, and can we all be counted on to execute the scout and be at our best with the things under our control, one game at a time. And we're going to really recommit and focus in on that first. Secondly, with Richmond, they are just tremendously well coached. Their ability to move without the ball, to shoot the three, to push in transition, and if they don't get something in transition, go late into clocks. I mean, they know who they are. I think it's the number one key for us is going to be ball pressure and chasing them off the three-point line. That's no secret. They're going to know that, but it's easier to say and hard to do. And so, but if we want to have another chance to be 1-0, we're going to have to do it and find a way to do it, and they're going to challenge us to that end. We're excited for the challenge. I'm hoping this place is packed and there's going to be this intensity in the air, and I love it. And so can't wait for the challenges that Richmond's going to bring us, and I can't wait for our team to compete to be us.
Questions for the players first.
Tuke Nguyen with the LA Times for Gabs. What do you think JB has added to this team that you guys really needed to kind of take this next step? Last year was a great year as well, but now to take this next step and achieve as much as you guys have.
Mm-hmm. JB is a great player. She's super talented, super athletic, and I think she brings a great energy on the court, and we really feed off of her, and the way she rebounds and jumps so high to grab those boards and fights down there is really huge, and the level of physicality she brings is really important to our team, and so it's just been great to have her on this team this year.
Just to follow up, she's been a star in her own right at Texas A&M, so to have her be selfless enough to come into this program that's already doing well and kind of star in her own role now, what does that say about her just as her mentality?
Yeah, she wanted to be on a winning team, and that's what she got here at UCLA, and so we were just super excited when she committed here because we knew what type of player she was, and she did great at Texas A&M, and she wanted to, take it to the next level for her next level in her basketball career as well, and she knew she would get that here at UCLA with the skill development and playing with great players, so it's just been fun to see her growth and her commitment to her role on this team.
Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group. So now that you guys are on break, just how does it feel to really focus all of your attention specifically on this and what's happening right now?
Yeah, I know Gabs is super happy. Yeah, we're super happy to be done with school. I mean, it's just, obviously being a student athlete is not easy. So I think just, finally being able to just focus on basketball and obviously to add to that, the weather's super nice. It's just great vibes right now. So we're just super happy to just be competing and just experiencing this to the fullest and, not having to worry about school. So it's been great. Yeah.
The best spring break ever.
Ever.
Greg Beecham with the AP for both of you guys. You're finishing up this last game of the year at Pauley. You're finishing up a second straight season where you lost one game at home. And what has this meant, and what does it mean to establish the home court like the way you guys have, and what will it mean to go out tomorrow hopefully with one more win?
Yeah, we love playing at Pauley. Obviously playing at home is super fun, and to see the abundance of fans come in to support us has been great, and just to see the growth of the fans that come in consistently to watch our games has been amazing, and I'm just super thankful for everyone that comes out to watch. And I was telling the team, I'm like, last year when we played Creighton in the second round, it was probably the loudest I've ever heard Pauley till that time, and I felt the energy with the fans yesterday. It's just everyone's so excited with March Madness. They're cheering even louder. So it's just been so fun, and I just love that we get to host 2 games.
Yeah, I think it just speaks to the talent of this team. I mean, people are just so excited to watch us, and we're just, like Gab said, super grateful that all the fans want to come out. I mean, yesterday, just like walking through the gym, as soon as we got into Pauley, all the fans are cheering for us, and we just really appreciate that. So,
Corey said the goal is obviously to be yourselves, to be us, as she said. Having said that, they do have one player on that team who is a difference maker, Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, a top perimeter player in the league. What do you think of Maggie Dugan, and what's the key to shutting her down?
I think just coming out with like a mentality that we're just not going to let them get what they want. Obviously, they're a really talented team, great players, but I think that, defensively, we just really have to lock in, and we're going to prepare the best that we can today. And just, I think when we really put our minds to it, I think we can, lock everyone up, but we just really need to show out tomorrow and focus defensively. So,
Joe Puchowski, Mighty Bruin, up for Gabs. Your brother played here. They came real close a couple times. They fell a little bit short. They didn't get to hang the banner here in Pauley. I know we're a few weeks away from that possibility, but what would it mean to you in the family to be able to do that and do something that your brother didn't?
Just still focusing one game at a time, and super proud of my brother's career here at UCLA. He did great. I loved supporting him, watching his games with him and his teammates, and to see him succeed in the NBA has also been great. But yeah, I know that coming to UCLA, everyone's goal, and everyone when they go to college, is to win a national championship. So that would just also be just truly amazing. But right now, just focusing one game at a time and preparing for the win tomorrow.
Were there any finals that really that were you're most excited to be done with, class-wise?
All of them.
all of them. Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any particular classes you liked or this quarter?
I really liked my Social 180 class. Shout out my professor. She's great. I love her. I think honestly, what stood out about her is that she's just so helpful through all the travel. She was just she gets back, she responds right away. Shout out to her. Seriously, great professor.
Yeah. I had a really cool professor in my Social 111 class. He was super cool, and I remember coming up to him in the beginning of the year. I'm just I'm going to be traveling a lot. And he was just good luck. And when I gave him my final, the test, he was just good luck, with the start of the tournament coming up. So definitely appreciate the supportive professors, but it is nice to have a spring break to just focus on basketball at this time.
Lauren, I don't know if you saw, but yesterday I was watching TV and I saw the AT&T commercial you did with Kiki. Did that reach you yet? Have you seen it?
No, I saw it.
Oh, what do you think of the commercial now that it's out?
Yeah, honestly, I think Kiki and I did a really good job acting. We killed it. I thought we killed it, Oscar, nominations. Yeah.
Oscars, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. No, I thought it was really funny, and it was just a really great opportunity, and me and Kiki are really grateful that we did it. It was funny. Yeah.
I know you probably did that before the school's year started, obviously, but what's it been like handling that kind of stuff? You also have to play basketball, you have to take your finals, there's a lot of things going on in your guys' lives.
Yeah, it's just communication and scheduling and trying to make sure that through all of it I still find time for myself. I think that's the most important thing, but I've been communicating a lot with Coach Corey and her assistant and just making sure that we plan things so that I'm not driving myself insane, but no, I'm really grateful for everyone that's been helping me through all of this year, because it has been a lot of times, but we managed to find a way to balance everything out. So,
Lauren, can you give us some context for the photo with Adam Sandler?
Basically, yesterday we went to Terrace, right? which is a really great breakfast spot. Shout out Terrace. And Adam Sandler.
She wants an NIL deal.
Yeah,
with the
no, I
Terrace.
do. Yeah, please. But like, no, so like my family, we just love Adam Sandler. Like he's legit like our favorite actor of all time, and all of his movies are like our comfort movies. So when we were just sitting there talking, I was actually talking about it on the way there with Coach Shane. I'm like, what if we see Adam Sandler today? We're all sitting there, and all of a sudden I see him in the corner of my eye, and like Sienna's screaming. My dad, before we even get a chance to stand up, he's like already over there taking a picture with him. He was like so happy, but yeah, it was just super cool, and obviously like it was just a crazy experience. I can't believe I met him. So yeah, yeah,
They invited him to the game.
yeah, we did. So maybe we'll see him. Who knows?
Obviously, coming to UCLA, playing basketball here, both of your goals are probably to eventually play in the WNBA. What would you be looking to want? What would you want to do if professional basketball, isn't in the future? You guys are upperclassmen now. You got to be thinking about the future a little bit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, dang, that's so sad. Oh my God, I can't. So if we're not playing basketball,
Yeah, what do you want to do after the ball goes flat, whenever that is?
when the ball goes flat, I do want to work with athletes one-on-one. So my like dream job is to be a sports therapist. So that's what I want to do. But yeah, I just think especially at the college level, I think working with athletes one-on-one, especially through having like our own experiences, just being able to work with athletes and obviously like, having someone for athletes to talk to who have experienced it on their own, I think that's really important. So yeah, I think that's...
No modeling?
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yeah.
For me, I don't really know exactly what I will do right after basketball. Hopefully something in the sports realm. Yeah. And maybe end up teaching along the way. I think that would be fun. But I definitely want to work in sports, but don't know what yet.
We've got time for one more question for the players. Looks like we're done. You're dismissed,
Thank
players.
you.
Thank you.
Just made me feel old.
No stress. You have another year. It's okay. We got you. Get him to Queen of the Court.
Questions for Coach.
Corey, I know like all of the Nike teams are wearing their Nothing Easy shirts, but you guys have something special on the back. Like, can you kind of share what that means to you guys?
Yeah, we over me, and I think it's so easy to do that. But I think one of the things that we had to hold the mirror up to when we lost to USC at home was somehow along the way with all of this talent, we let sort of seep in a little bit that we're only playing for the letters on the front of the jersey, and trusting that when you play fully committed to only the play on the playing for the what's on the front of your jersey, that usually it comes back to the letters on the back of your jersey tenfold. And I think we had to. Charlize Ledger-Walker said it in our meeting. We're not a selfish group, but we lost track of that for just a second, and it cost us. And I think it's a symbol of our commitment that we are going to choose we every time. Every game, it may look different. I told them in film today that even against Richmond, we may play some different kind of lineups because of the challenges that they are going to create for us. And we just have to be committed that who next woman up, and the phrase I've use all the time is sometimes you, sometimes me, always us. And if you want another chance to be 1-0 again, then that has got to be paramount. And so we over me is the symbol of reminding ourselves what we committed to.
Coach, what did you see on the film from last night's game that you mentioned earlier that you didn't really play the type of game that you would have liked to have played? What would you like to see from the team?
I thought we were much too lackadaisical in executing the game plan. Coach Tony did such a good job of talking about this team is top 3 in the country in forcing teams into turnover situations, and they do it by making you dribble into tight spaces. And 8 of our 17 turnovers came from dribbling into tight spaces. And, there's a lack of concentration there. I showed a clip okay, how are we supposed to be defending on these sideline out-of-bounds plays? And they could tell me the answer. but when I showed them the clip, we weren't executing that. And, we have to, all of us, we are very, obviously we have a lot of weapons, and we probably have a higher margin of error than other teams. But I even showed them a clip that was awful, but they just weren't good enough to take advantage of it. And that's what it means to be us. Like, we can't be okay with that. We ended up getting the stop, but it wasn't because we did our jobs. It wasn't because we were trustworthy to execute what we committed to each other. We were going to execute. And, I think we have a really good team to self-evaluate and to have good self-awareness and say, no, I got to take ownership of that. I got to take responsibility for that. And I think we'll turn it right away. And I expect to see it in our practice right now and see it executed in the game much better tomorrow. But those are a couple examples of what I mean about being trusted and depended on to be us and to do your job.
Speaking to the selflessness again, I'm sure when you go through recruiting, that's like a big thing you look for. And
Yeah.
like, I'm sure there are a bunch of talented players that you've seen that maybe they don't fit that
Agreed.
part. Like,
Agreed.
How difficult, like how high of a bar is that in terms of what you're looking for?
It's really high. It has to be, because the more talented players that we have joining our team, the riskier it becomes. Because there's only 200 minutes in a game, and I'm trying to look for all the players to come into this with an abundance mentality. And what I mean by that is, we are not just here to get the most minutes and to play the biggest role. We're here to have the most impactful growth experience. We're here to have a transformational experience that pays dividends long after the ball goes flat. And there are abundance of those opportunities. And I'm not saying this is easy. What gets you is when you have a scarcity mentality, because scarcity mentality says, hey, there's only 200 minutes in a game. And if you get more minutes, that means there's less for me. And that's very easy to have sift through. Why'd I get taken out? What happened there? Or, how come you have that? If you bring out the scorecards, right? And so when I'm recruiting, if I hear a hint of that, we'll back off. It has to be that you are committed to our mission. And our mission is to be an elite basketball program that teaches, mentors, and equips young women for life beyond UCLA, to create an uncommon transformational experience for every young woman that comes here. And that isn't for everybody, because it is hard. If it was easy, a whole lot more people would do it. And you mentioned, Janiyah earlier, and that was all of our conversations. Like, do you know what you're signing up for? Like, what are you going to do when? How is this going to be when you're not Batman anymore? That there's a whole lot of them, and there's a lot of Robins. And are you willing to be a star in your role, whatever that ends up being? And I am very impressed. Has it been easy? No. Has it been perfect? No. But her commitment to grow into that space has been remarkable, and I really appreciate her awareness, her willingness to grow in ownership, and her willingness to put winning and development and growth above individual accolades and spotlight.
Greg Beecham with the AP. What impresses you about Maggie Dugan, and does she compare to anybody you faced in the Big Ten?
Hobbs maybe at Michigan comes to mind. I hadn't thought about it as much, but very impressed with her. Her quickness of her release and her shot, you can tell her basketball IQ is really high. I cracked up at her mom watching from way up high, and her mom was such a kudos to her. Obviously a great coach, but great player also in her own right at LaSalle. And so I just think her, that system really puts her in a great position to showcase her versatility, her ability. I looked at 8 seconds left. They have the ball out on the side. They're going to her. How the creativity of her to be able to create scoring catches in different ways, attack off the bounce, shoot the three, second cut, her movement without the ball is remarkable, which puts her in great positions to be, to have really efficient scoring catches. I mean, they are the most effective field goal percentage team in the country, 100% percentile in the analytics report we got today. And a big part of that is her decision-making and her ability to not only be a great versatile scorer, but also to make her teammates better in the process as well.
Coach, it's pretty well known that you were a big fan of Coach Wooden.
Yeah. Life-changing. It changed my life.
What What's your favorite lesson from Coach that you've tried to instill in the team?
I think my favorite lesson is different depending on what season of leadership I'm in, in terms of that. But I'll tell you, honestly, I wrote this in my prayer journal this morning. May I define success the way Coach Wooden taught me, even in the midst of this March Madness run. And I think that doesn't make us less competitive, it makes us more competitive. But may I always remember that he had taught me that I'm not coaching people's jump shots, I'm coaching people's hearts. And he always said, too, though, if you coach their hearts really well, usually their jump shots end up pretty good, too. But he always cared more about impacting their lives than impacting wins. And the great news is when you really do that selflessly and consistently and you have a high attention to detail, it ends up impacting winning, too. But honestly, my prayer this morning was that I would be somebody that stayed mission-minded and maintained perspective, even with the most stakes and the highest pressure, just like he taught me. And funny, he won 10 national championships in 12 years, so it obviously works.
Any more questions for Coach? One with Tukni.
This is the first time the women's basketball tournament gets units.
Right.
So, what I know this is something that's been very long overdue for you in the
Correct.
sport, but just now that it's finally here,
Yeah.
what's kind of your takeaway from it?
I was the one Division I coach actually that was met with the Kaplan law firm every single week during that process, and so I learned a lot. I really was very ignorant until that point. And realizing that we don't desire to slice the pie differently and take any resources away from anybody else. That I am the biggest men's basketball fan, March Madness wise, you're going to find. But it should be that we have equal opportunity to be an asset, to grow the pie, to influence corporate sponsorship at levels that as our eyeballs have gone up, our engagement has gone up, and all of those things. And unit distribution is a really important thing because just think about all the pressures on universities right now. I mean, with rev share, with cost of attendance, with all these things that have come in the last 8 to 10 years. I mean, I cannot imagine being a president of a university or an athletic director. It is really challenging times. So if you have the women's basketball and men's basketball gets units for their performance, and that comes back to you for investing in them, and women get nothing, even though the media rights deals are going up, even though the eyeballs are going up, even though the attendance is going up, with all this pressure, where do you think they're going to continue to invest? Men's basketball. This was a really important shift, and we're just the beginning, that we're saying, no, we want to be an asset, so we want you to be encouraged to invest in our asset that is going to bring a return. And unit distribution is one of the ways that can bring a return on investment, as well as the media rights, as well as attendance, as well as corporate sponsorship. But this is an important piece because you're saying, okay, we're at a new point in our system, and they now have the opportunity to be a new revenue stream. And that's an important piece if we want our sport to continue to grow.
Coach, thank you for your time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There you go. Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 NCAA Tournament Round of 32 press conference. A couple of announcements. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. We are joined by Richmond, head coach Aaron Roussel, student athletes Maggie Dugan, and Addie Budnick. We'll start with the opening statement from Coach.
Just an incredible night for everybody associated with our program, with our university, family, friends. Just a really special night. You know, the kids on the court played so well. I just felt like we were locked in for the few days going into the game. The poise, the calmness. It wasn't a terrible start, but I think we felt like we missed some opportunities there to start the game, and I never felt anything about any sort of panic from our players. It was such a calmness from them, everything about them. I could tell our fans were really, really enjoying it. I told myself I was not going to look up there. I didn't want to jinx anything, wasn't ready until finally, I think, near the end. But just a really cool moment, like I said, for everything associated with our program. We had so many parents that were here, and I'm talking parents of kids that have been here for 4 or 5 years. I'm talking about parents that have been here for months, parents of kids that have played, parents that maybe weren't expecting to see their kid on the floor, and just the jubilation, knowing how much people enjoyed it here. My phone was popular. I know with these guys too. There was a lot of people that reached out. The pictures that we saw from back in Richmond, the stories that we heard from back in Richmond, just a really cool moment. You kind of put it upon your coach to make sure, as a coach, to make sure that they have a fantastic experience. And I hope and trust that they have. But there was an empty feeling from me after the A10 tournament that I feel like I let these guys down and didn't have that moment with this group. And I think last night really exceeded that, and just happy for them last night, but just happy for this group to have that moment for the rest of their lives and something we can share together.
Questions for the student athletes first.
Tugni Nguyen with the LA Times. Just speaking to that moment, what's the last 12, 18 hours been like for you guys? Just sorting through all your text messages, all your DMs. I'm sure people have been reaching out, and just how have you kind of processed the history that you guys made is winning this first game?
Yeah, it's been really special, especially seeing, he mentioned the watch party back at school. I think there were 2 separate rooms of people. We really didn't have that showing a few years back, so seeing that and seeing the support from everyone was really special. And then also, we've talked about it, just having a ton of people, even friends we haven't talked to in a while, reaching out because they've been watching the game. So doing that on a national stage and just feeling that support from everyone in our circle has been really fun.
Yeah, I would say the same. Just like old friends reaching out, family members reaching out, just saying how proud they are of us and all that we've accomplished is a really cool feeling. And back to what Addie was saying about everybody celebrating back at school, I've gotten a lot of text messages from classmates being like, congrats, and all that stuff, and they're just really excited and want us to keep going. So yeah, it's awesome.
Greg Beecham with the AP for both of you. You still have another game to play tomorrow after all the excitement of yesterday. What kind of mentality you take into a game against the number 1 overall seed with the roster they have, with the player they have in the center of everything? What's your mental approach to this game?
I don't think anything really changes from how we approach Georgia Tech or any other game this year, just really locking in on personnel and what we're doing, both defensively and offensively. As long as we play together on both ends of the court, I think that we can make some noise tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I would say the same, just staying together and all being on the same page and knowing that we're here to have fun and we're here to play together and play with, our best friends. So that's really all we're worried about.
Addie, have you had to guard somebody 5 inches taller than you very often?
There's been a few people who we've crossed paths with in this year and then also in the past. So some familiarity with that in terms of scheming and everything. So I think we're prepared. Watched some film this morning, no personnel. So we're ready for the challenge and excited for tomorrow.
Maggie, what do you think of their perimeter players, the ones who sort of keep things going on the outside, both sides? You're both teams that like to space the floor and get open shots. So how do you combat what they can do at a really high level?
I think what I was saying, we just prepare. We watched film this morning and we know shooters and we know personnel, so we're going to play accordingly. And whoever's on the floor, we're going to adjust, and they're going to have to adjust to what we do too. So it goes both ways.
Hi, Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group. Just what makes you guys such an efficient three-point shooting team? Like, is this a very cerebral kind of team, or does it really come down to skill?
Coach had a little quote the other day. It's actually Taylor Swift's song "Death by a Thousand Cuts." And when we cut and we move really well without the ball. I think that just creates a lot of open gaps, and that draws a lot of defenders in, which allow us to get those open threes. And we recruit really high shooting percentage players, and we're able to knock them down when we're open. So it's just everybody getting each other open that helps a lot.
Blake McCormick, Richmond Athletics. For both of you, going back to yesterday, what was it like to see that sea of red right behind your bench?
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about this with the A10 tournament too. And that was local, so expecting people to show out close to home, but seeing it here, obviously we had family and friends here that we knew, but hearing people driving from hours away in California who have connections to Richmond or just have been supporting us throughout the year was insane to me, seeing people come that far. So we're really grateful for that and hope to see that support again on Sunday.
Yeah, I would say the same. Just seeing familiar faces in the crowd definitely gives us a calming presence and kind of reminds us that we have a lot of people who have our back whether we win or lose. So I think that's really important.
Tuking with the LA Times again. Addie, I was just talking to Angela Dugalich in the back, and I know she said that you guys go way back. Yeah. Like, can you kind of tell me a little bit about your history with Angela and what's it been like, kind of being able to watch her at this level, and then now you get to play against each other again?
Yeah, we were in the same conference in high school, so we played against each other all 4 years. We would play each other twice each year. Actually, my high school game, coach was there when we played each other. So we definitely have experience going against one another. We were super happy when we heard each other, where we committed, and wishing each other luck, and we were able to meet before practice the other day. And just, she's had an incredible career, just seeing her, especially playing on the #1 team in the nation. So we both had really good experiences in college, and being able to come together, especially in our final years, playing against each other in LA in the NCAA tournament is super cool to see.
The depth that UCLA has, is there any way that you can kind of simulate that in practice, or can you compare them to like any other team that has had like a deep bench that you've gone against this season?
We've gone against a couple teams like Tennessee who kind of do that hockey sub with like 4 in or 5 in or 3 in, whatever. So we definitely seen teams with a lot of depth. With their athleticism, obviously we don't have anybody who's 6'7" on our roster, so we can't really emulate that in practice, but we try our best, and we just go through their plays and things like that, so yeah.
Any more questions for the players? Great. Players, you're dismissed. We'll go to questions for Coach now.
Greg Beecham with the AP. Aaron, we talked about this a couple days ago, but those 3 games you played right before Christmas, you hosted Texas, you played 2 other, powerhouse blue blood programs in West Palm. How did that help you, prepare for something like this, for the stage that you knew you were going to be on when you knew basically what your seeding was going to be and you'd face a top team in the first weekend? Yeah,
obviously most of our focus, at least most of my focus, was on Georgia Tech this week, and they're a really, really strong team. And, I think the athleticism last night, expected the athleticism, but the first 2 minutes, even for me, was like, okay, wow, it's hard to remember back, with all due respect, in our league, has some really, really good players, really good teams. It had been a few months since we saw the speed that we saw last night. And I think it maybe took us a few minutes to adjust to that. You look at 6'7", and you're like, oh yeah, hey, we saw 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" with Texas, but that was a ways ago, Greg, I know it will help us, right? There's a certain, and comfort maybe not being the right word, but I think there's an understanding that we've been playing against teams of this caliber before, been doing this before. We've been in this situation where this has all been new, and I didn't want that. When we did the schedule this year, it was, hey, if we're going to get to the tournament, hopefully win a game, it's going to be a team like this, and that. Texas was like, why the heck not? If Vic's willing to play, let's do it. You know, if we make a run in the tournament, we're going to go up against a team like that. So everything about the schedule was not being surprised if we were fortunate enough to get to the NCAA tournament. That being said, every team is different, right? Like Texas had some things, all of those teams had some strengths, but like UCLA is really good. And I know that sounds like a dumb coach thing to say, but like Lauren Betts is really good. Kiki Rice really good. It's like, you know, you look at the scout and it's like Kendall Dudley was a stud, is going to be a complete stud. And you're like, oh, she's a little bit farther down the list. And that, I say that because obviously being out east, some familiarity with that. But, you know, watch these guys a little bit just as a fan throughout the season. They're really, really talented. I think they play well together, complement the game down low really, really well. But I think you look at what the staff has done, right? Like, look at what Corey's done. She's had a lot of success here. Now she's got some really special pieces. You know, I think there's a lot of coaches out there, and I don't know Corey really well, but I think there's a lot of coaches out there that hold her in a really high regard and are happy for her that she's having this level of success after everything she's done for our game. So it's been cool to watch her as a fan, and really about both teams out here in LA, being able to watch them. Get to see them a little bit more now that the Big Ten Network helps some of that. But just, it's sorry, that's not a plug for anything. That was just like, I feel like I missed a lot of really good basketball. I have buddies at Oregon State, and you know, I feel like I just hadn't been able to see these guys here on the right coast. But yeah, I just happy for them as a fan. But then all of a sudden now you're preparing for those guys. And going back to your question, I think it helps to a certain extent, but this is still a different team. You know, we talked earlier about the depth this team has. You know, 6'7", but able to shoot the basketball the way that they do, move the basketball, the style of play. This is a tough prep, but also happy that we get the opportunity, no doubt.
Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group, sorry. Kind of branching off of that, I guess, you know, UCLA has some players that can really provide a spark off the bench and could realistically be a starter on any night. So when it comes to that depth, like, how do you prepare your players, not just physically, but also mentally, knowing that there's just going to be kind of a wave after wave?
Yeah, I think it is more of a mental prep, you know, like this is, you know, I mean, not that it was any easier with Texas. It wasn't like it was fun preparing for them for 5 days. But, you know, with the team of this magnitude, this is a quick prep. You know, you can say I'm not sleeping, you can say all of this stuff, but at the same point, you got to watch last night's film. You got to prepare your players. You got to make sure that we're thinking about things the right way with our own scouting report, our own self-assessment, our own understanding of what we think works against these guys. And then, you know, you got to spend some time diving in of what has worked, if anything has worked, you know. And it's like when you win 30 games and the only team that's beaten you all season is a team that has Juju Watkins on it, like you're pretty good, you know. So a lot of things have been tried, probably a lot of things haven't worked. You try to find some teams that maybe are somewhat similar to how you're doing, but you know, you first go through their list of games, and there's not a lot of whole lot of close games either, you know. So I don't know what has worked. I mean, obviously in the middle of kind of a deep dive right now, but with regard to the depth, I just don't know that that's something that we could simulate if we had all week anyway. You kind of have to have your kids be fresh. You have to have an understanding, maybe a deeper understanding of personnel than just the top 4 to 6. You really got to go 9 through 10 and really understand it. But the other flip side of that, too, is you got to kind of trust yourself. We've also been through this for 33, 35 games, whatever it is. Our kids have played well together, too, on both ends. You know, and I mentioned this the other day. Like, everybody talks about our offense, and we're really proud of that. And I thought we played well last night. But I thought our defense was pretty good last night, too. And I think that's something that's been strong for us all year. It's a different challenge tomorrow, but I think we can rely on some confidence that we've been pretty good on the defensive side as well.
Joe Puchowski, the Mighty Bruin. Coach, what's it like for you as the head coach of Richmond coming into a building like this where there's just so much history of college basketball? You look up at the ceiling, you see the banners hanging from the rafters. You're going up against a team that's lost one game at home all season. What's it like for you to come into Pauley Pavilion like that?
Yeah, it's been a cool experience. I mean, you try to keep it business to a certain extent, but I think we've talked with our players of like, you got to enjoy where you are, right? There's at some point in time that you get to tell your kids, you get to tell people in your family that, you know, you're watching a UCLA game, and I played there. And now you get to say you won an NCAA tournament game there. So I think, you know, the people here have been phenomenal. Like, this has not been territorial like the UCLA folks. Maybe it's just people are nicer out here. I don't know, but it's been kind of cool. You know, opening up the Hall of Fame for us to go look at. That was a really cool experience. for us. And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, we're in awe or anything like that, but it's been, as somebody who's just been a lifelong fan of the game, to have my kid who's, rabid about this sport, rabid about this game, and he'll sit here and tell you, as an Indiana guy, Indiana this, Indiana that, and I'm like, hey, man, like UCLA's won a few national championships too, so like let's appreciate what this is. This doesn't have to be a rivalry here. But yeah, I think that part's been cool. I feel like we have taken the proper amount of like understanding what this is. But I don't know that any of our players thought about that once we started playing games yesterday. There wasn't anything of like, hey, Dugan's step back wasn't like, hey, if I could do this shot in Pauley Pavilion, that would be really cool. You're just playing. Even tomorrow, I think there's a little bit added, what Corey and Lindsay have done out here with selling the game. Like, that was a pretty cool fan base last night. They were into it. That was loud. So we've got to make some adjustments. And we knew that kind of coming into the week, that if we got to this point, we were going to have to make some adjustments. So we'll talk with our players about it. So I think it's been cool, but at the same point, tomorrow, it's not that it wears off, because it's still an appreciation, but it's going to be basketball tomorrow, no matter the site.
Duke needing to win with the LA Times. Speaking kind of to that, how do you celebrate the moment that was yesterday, process it, and then move on? Because like obviously, you guys aren't done. Like you still have things that you want to achieve here.
Again, I think we've been able to do that all year, and I don't mean to think that winning 10 games in a row and putting it behind you is the same as winning an NCAA tournament. You saw the excitement last night, right? Like our kids are like, yo, man, we get to talk to Holly Rowe, like that was like a cool thing, like we got to celebrate on the court. We're not celebrating like that after every game. I'm not getting doused with water after every game, in the locker room. It's a really, really cool experience. But we've said all year, man, enjoy it tonight, and then tomorrow we're back to work, and I think maybe somewhere along the line this season, I kind of got concerned that we were looking too far down the road and not appreciating what we did, and all of a sudden, I remember it took us being on a 13, 14-game winning streak before any of us realized we were on a winning streak, because we were just looking forward. So I think our approach all season, even last night, I remember telling those guys at the start of the fourth quarter, like, this is going to be a really long quarter. I don't know what's going to happen. They're probably going to make a few runs. Do not look at the time. Do not look at not trying to bleed time. Just play each possession. And I think that's what we focused on. We've said last night, enjoy it. And then today has been prep. And then at some point, we look back and say, that was really cool. You're right. March 21st was a really awesome date that you get to share with each other for the rest of your lives, but nothing about that needs to carry over to March 22nd. At some point, we're appreciating that down the road. And this is a really, really mature group. I've been so impressed with how they've approached all season that it's really just not a concern of mine. It's been a little bit in the past. There's a little pep in our step from yesterday, but it's definitely in the past as well.
Blaine McCormick, Richmond Athletics. Coach, there's a pretty cool photo of you in the middle of the huddle and shouting up. But what did that shout contain, and how were you able to share that with the players that have been with you for a long time and your family?
Yeah. Talk about trying to pride yourself on being poised and all of that stuff, and focusing on the next thing. But just seeing the jubilation from our players yesterday, and again, I hate to bring this up again, but just the personal responsibility I felt for not giving them the moment during the A-10 tournament, and then feel like they finally could have that moment. And we celebrate things throughout the year. Great accomplishments this year, but the ultimate, they really wanted that. It took me a long time, like I said earlier, before I wanted to look in the stands. But you see the parents there. You see, my family there. I had a friend fly in from high school that just flew in across the country because his brother lived here and wanted to be here. The history I have with our athletic director and his wife, he's hired me at 2 different places. Like, this was blueprint times 2, and now is mission accomplished. Seeing him, our president was here and he's been here all week, right? The guy's got a million things to do, and he's here having intimate conversations with my family and in-depth stuff. Like, he's been present. His wife put off a surgery to come out here and be here. And those guys, if you see the pictures, they're like front and center celebrating. So it was just, when I finally looked up in the crowd, it was like a heck yeah moment. And seeing our kids, as poised as you try to have them be and be around them, their excitement kind of got me going a little bit last night. So it was a great picture. Whoever needs some huge credit for that. There were some great pictures last night. It was a cool moment, no doubt.
Any more questions for Coach? We're good. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.